Gregory Jones.
It's not a bad day today.
No.
Oregon has power again, so that's
Oregon
good.
has power again. This has been crazy.
Oh,
It
man.
has been
Can I just
crazy.
tell you, last Thursday night, my a huge section of our roof blew off.
Oh,
No,
really?
no,
And
hold on.
about
The
it.
whole roof? Like,
No.
rafters and everything pick up.
Like,
and
did you
like
see
chip-
that movie Twister?
Yeah, exactly. Is that what you're talking about?
No, it was the shingles, which they just
So
started flying.
you
It
were
was
exaggerating a little bit.
a little bit. I
Yeah,
was
okay.
exaggerating.
All right. Yeah.
So a section of the roofing material
There
that
you go.
it blew off the house. I thought it was supposed to protect us. There was
Yeah.
no protection going on. And about a 10-foot section of our fence just blew down.
Did you lose a tree, or the
No,
fence
no.
just
The
fell?
fence just blew down.
Wow.
It sort of imploded.
What about you guys, Mary? Do you have any problems?
We just lost power and had lost power
Yeah.
for 4 days.
We had like a
4
100-foot tree
days.
fall.
Yeah.
Wow.
100-foot tree.
You had a
Really?
100-foot tree fall?
Yep, took out part of the fence.
Was that the one on the news and it showed it slicing through the house, or that was
No,
another?
no, it
because
didn't
that
go
was
through
in
the
the
house.
Hillsborough area too.
Yeah,
that
it was.
happened.
I had one that went, my neighbor's, our joint tree there fell and went through our fence. And then a neighbor behind us, behind the greenway, they lost a huge tree as well, and it hit part of their house and took out a corner and all kinds of stuff. Very wild.
It was crazy.
That's insane.
It was crazy. And now they're talking freezing rain tonight or something.
I know.
Great.
You
That's
know,
just
but
wonderful.
honestly, Oregon is great because we have the seasons, and a lot of places don't have that. So we have a true winter, and then we have a true spring and a true summer, and it's kind of cool. Although I will admit, come about the middle of January, this is going to start getting pretty old, and I'm going to be wanting summer
And
again.
it doesn't snow. I mean, it doesn't
We
snow.
don't get
You
a
don't
lot
really
of
have a
snow.
true winter until it snows.
Yeah.
Well, freezing rain around here and stuff. But
Oh, God, that's a mess. When the city shuts down because of 6 inches of ice.
yeah.
Yes.
It's cool, though, dude. You stay
Well,
at home.
coming from the Midwest, though, where nothing shuts down, whether
Yeah.
it's snow or ice, you get to work. I don't care how much you put
Oh.
your life in danger, you get there. And when we were out here that first year, when that was that major snowstorm, like
Mm-hmm.
2004, and everything shut down, and I'm like, what? I mean, Nike's
Oh,
shutting
yeah.
down. I mean, all these companies were
Oh,
shutting
and it's
down.
not even a snowstorm. It's flurries dusting across a parking
No,
lot.
no,
It's
no.
like, oh my God, I'm getting
That-
scared. I got to go home. We got to close the office.
Now, Pete, it was way worse than
Tell
that.
me that. No,
2004.
I'm saying this is the
Part of
culture.
it
Like we
is-
got here and there. It's like I remember I got here and I started working at a small firm in Tigard, and we could look down over Washington Square, and you would see the dusting of snow on the parking lot, and the office would be closed. If you want to go home
Okay,
for
hold
fear
on.
of your life,
Hold on.
you
Time.
can.
I'm going to stand up for a few of the people who were born and raised here. Kansas is a little different. I mean, it's flat, right? And there ain't nothing. Here we have hills, we have twists, we have turns. We don't have the greatest highway and freeway system, and so it's a little different when you're driving straight for 200 miles to get anywhere versus here where you might go up 500 feet to get somewhere.
Well,
I
no,
mean,
we
you
don't
must
have that
admit.
kind of elevation, but we
Yeah.
do have hills. But the difference
Oh, yeah,
is
you're
we,
hill. You don't
but
have
we
mountains
have the
there.
equipment to handle it.
That's
the
the
problem
issue.
with
You're
Oregon.
You're saying I don't have
is
the equipment?
Yes, if you want to go there.
Always goes there. No,
Don't shake your
you
shirt
don't.
at me.
Let's move on. Weather's boring.
All right, let's talk about headlines. Hey, first of all, before we do that, we have a guest.
We do. Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
We are very excited to have a special guest with us. He actually joined us on our previous podcast, so we're very happy to have him back. His name is Mike Mostafavi. He is a Iranian American. He actually born and raised in Iran and came over here,
1978.
78, okay. And he actually works at the University of Phoenix. He is the chair for the graduate business program as well as the IT program. And he also has a television show that's here down on cable access. And I'm going to say it in Persian first. I'm going to give it a shot.
Sure,
Okay?
sure.
It's Iranaman.
Yes.
All right, which
Very good.
actually,
Perfect.
how was that?
That's great.
My first word. He's taught me a few cuss words, but we won't talk about that. But anyway, but the show in English obviously is My Iran, and he hosts this weekly on Saturdays. And so Mike is very well known actually within the Iranian community. And it has his talents obviously in education and IT, but graphic design, web page design. So
You're on the radio too, right?
multi-talented.
Yeah, radio too. Radio
Yeah.
too.
Yes, I host the news for Iranian show on KBOO. actually.
Do you do that once a week, or what do you do?
Once a week.
Once a
So
week.
once a
What
week.
days is that on?
Sundays.
Sundays.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, well, there was a University of Phoenix graduation one Sunday,
Right.
and we're all sitting in the faculty room waiting
Yeah.
for graduation to start, and Mike's over in the corner on his cell phone doing the news.
Oh,
In
very
person.
cool.
The news on your cell phone. The future is now, my friend.
Right?
So
A man of a lot of talents.
he
I'm
is a
telling you.
lot of
Well,
talent.
and
And another thing that's interesting about him is that he also does another side job. Is he edits music videos that come up out of LA. So he edits them and then
Who
sends
do you?
them back down.
Who have you been editing lately?
There is one show that I've been working on for the last 3 months, actually. It's basically a new singer, Iranian singer. So one of these days I'll bring one of them and show you, so
Definitely.
so you know exactly what is involved.
Yeah, cool. Very cool.
Okay, all right. We'll talk
So-
more about this in a minute.
All right.
Right,
More
so
questions.
he's here. Obviously, we're going to talk to him a little bit later about kind of
Find
Iran
out what's
and
going on there and give us the inside scoop.
Well, and it's,
But-
it's a good time too, because I mean, what we didn't say is that of all the shows, the old podcast shows we did, strange as it may seem,
coming out of Tuesday noon.
coming out of Tuesday noon, strange as it may seem, the show we did with Mike was the most downloaded show of all of them.
Oh, thank you.
Don't thank me, man. I only listened once.
Actually, it was really popular in Israel.
Yeah, sure.
Not so much in Iran. But
That's
yeah,
really
real
funny
popular.
in a bar in Oregon.
so. All right, so now we're on the headlines.
Yes.
Jamie, what do you got?
I have one that just came out the other day, and this is, and I got to tell you, Marion Barry, that guy, the ex-mayor of D.C., although he's been mayor there a couple times, right?
I think so.
And
yeah.
he's been busted
Yeah,
for,
he's a legacy.
for crack and what, hookers and strippers and all. And he has this great tendency to blame everybody else for all his problems. Marion Barry was arrested, claims he was targeted this time. So Marion Barry was arrested after a holiday party around 4:30 p.m. For driving too slowly. Looks like that he was drinking, and his his license was suspended. But of course, that wasn't his fault that his license was suspended.
No,
it
not at
was
all.
some kind of clerical error down at the DMV. So, vote for Marion Barry.
It's that bartender's fault that he drank all that alcohol.
Man, and I got to tell
They
you, in
should
all
have cut him
honesty,
off sooner. That's
this is what's wrong with America today. This
Why?
is because we blame everybody else for all our problems. It's the DMV's fault that I have a suspended license and I've been drinking. And if the bartender had cut me off and if the DMV hadn't screwed this up, it's not that I waited till the last minute. It's not that I drank a whole bunch and jumped in my car. It's everybody. This is what's wrong with America right here.
I can't. I have no counterpoint to that because it's Marion frickin' Barry. I mean, the guy's an idiot.
Twice voted in. What does that tell you about Washington, D.C.?
Well, it tells me a lot. Told me a lot the first time and the time before that.
Yeah.
There we
Yeah,
go.
whatever.
All right. What do you got?
Oh, well, this is spreading a little bit of holiday cheer from the United Kingdom. Santa Claus does not exist. School tells stunned kids. That's right, a primary school has been accused of spoiling Christmas
Primary
for
school.
pupils.
How old's primary?
Primary is
9 years old.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Primary
Grade
school.
kind of.
Hey, kids. Newsflash.
That's exactly what happened. So here's what actually happened. I think this is fascinating. Blunder came after year 5 pupils were given seasonal worksheets containing various festive classroom exercises. The first one informs children that, quote, many small children believe in Father Christmas, and then goes on to explain that thousands of letters sent by these children to Santa every year are actually answered by the post office. The final one was youngsters are then asked to write a pretend letter from the post office answering all of those jilted kids who thought they were actually writing to Santa Claus. Turns out it was this whole thing was done by an internet company that created by an educational charity, the Hamilton Trust. And the owner of or manager of the Hamilton Trust says, "I feel sorry for the teacher concerned, but we produce the worksheets, and it's up to teachers to how they use them in class. We think that this is it. We think that at the age of 10 seems unlikely that a child wouldn't be aware of Santa's imaginary nature, and we also take issue with the Tooth Fairy."
Okay,
Oh,
I'm
God.
going to put my education hat on. I would never give an assignment like that somehow invalidates the spirit of Christmas. I mean, even adults, would you say, hey,
No,
write
it's
a...
like going to class and having to write Santa's eulogy. Why would you make somebody do that?
That's right. So the Easter Bunny was caught by this guy in Arkansas. Let's write his tombstone. I mean,
I agree.
It's a horrible assignment.
But it's another example of
what's wrong with us?
It's not Americans. It's over in the UK, but putting blame on somebody else. It's the teacher's fault. She didn't pay attention.
No, that's not.
What is Santa in Iran?
Baba Noel.
Baba Noel.
Yes.
Baba Noel.
Okay, and what is the legend similar? I mean,
Actually, it's the same one that is very popular in Iran. It's not an Iranian Santa Claus. It's Santa Claus that is called Baba Noel.
Yeah.
They're the same one.
Okay, does the same thing,
the
flies
same
around the
thing,
world,
again,
goes down the
So this-
chimney.
Of course, right. But you see all of those pictures and images and cartoons about
You mean
Santa Claus.
Santa's not a Christian thing?
It is, but we have Christians in
Does he
Iran
have to
as
wear?
well.
But does he have to wear something?
Christians too. They just don't get along very well.
Well, one lives in the desert, the other one lives in the South Pole.
Very different
go.
presents.
There we
Very
go.
different presents.
All right. Moving on. Here's something to spark some holiday cheer. The CEO of Goldman Sachs got his bonus for the year, $53.4 million
Oh my God.
in a bonus.
How am I supposed to feel cheery about that? That's what I want to know.
It makes you want to drink more.
Yes, it does. Now, here's what I want to know. Do you think that he is so smart and so this and that he's worth that kind of money? I mean, really, is he smarter than the four people at this table?
Is anybody worth that kind of money?
Money. I mean, that's a great question.
Well, I think he's entitled to earn whatever he can earn. I believe in a capitalist
that's
society.
true, but as long as you
so
ask the
good for
question.
him. But really, is he 54? Was it 54 million?
54 point.
Is he-
Wait, sorry. Let's get that right. 53.4.
Okay, is he $53.4 million smarter than the four of us here whose bonuses, well, let's just say we're still waiting on those. So, I mean, is he $53.4 million smarter than we are?
Well, I think what is he being paid for? He's being paid for stature and risk that he has taken personally, or I mean, how are we measuring what value is?
Well, I think it's been, well, I don't know, but at least according to this article, they're talking all about profit. So this was, the highest yearly profit in the history of this organization. So,
And
Well,
so
go-
he should take a share in it.
Go Republicans.
yeah.
All right, on this, I'm a Republican too. If I had an opportunity to make $50 million and change,
Why not?
I would
But see,
take it.
this is where it really irritates me because, we pay somebody this for, running a company, and of course, people's investments there's something that they're doing there. They're securing investments, helping
Sacrosanct.
other people get rich, looking up the wealth of their employees, those kinds of things. But then yet in this country, we sit and scream and yell about the, principal who makes $90,000 a year, but who's responsible for not only the physical well-being, but the mental and spiritual
our
well-being,
nation's
really,
children.
of children. I mean, talk about pressure, talk about responsibility.
Of
and we
the next
scream and-
50 millionaires,
Right. And we scream and yell about that, and then we sit and say, well, it's a capitalist society. 53.4 million. I mean, it's so contradictory, it just frustrates
So
me.
what do you have to say about that, Jamie?
I actually was smirking at Mary's voice inflection. I thought it was hilarious. I agree 100%. I think we underpay certain people in the world today. And I mean, get police, fire, teachers, all those sorts of
Exactly.
things. It comes down to a tax issue and the feeling that we're overtaxed and we don't want to, we think people are spending our money frivolously and stuff. And I'm happy the guy can make $53 million. Is he really worth it? No, he's not really worth it. I don't know him, and maybe he's a really nice guy. I don't know.
Okay.
I just-
Are any of your close friends worth $53 million in
I
a
am.
bonus? Of your close friends? Am I?
Are you? Yes, Pete, you are worth $53.4 million.
Then we can still be close friends.
All right, good. All right, next headline. Angelina Jolie. This is my favorite one of the week, by
I
the
like
way.
her.
This one, I like her too.
Yeah.
This one's Angelina, you can write me right here. That's Jamie at beer30life.com. I'll meet you anywhere, anytime.
Please.
Anyways, Angelina Jolie. I feed my son on insects. Angelina, 31, and partner Brad Pitt have a 5-year-old a kid. I guess they call him Mad, and they fed him a plate of crickets.
Wait, they call him what?
Mad. M-A-D.
Short for Maddox.
Oh, it's
Oh.
Maddox? Oh, Mad. Fed him a plate of crickets, a delicacy in the Tots' native Cambodia. and Angelina goes on that she wants to learn how to cook cockroaches and bee larvae. And Angelina, if you're listening, I will come over and eat the cockroaches and bee larvae anytime.
Because let's tell it straight. We know you do that, right? And where is the video? Okay, so you did a video.
I did a video, which we need to get up.
Yourself eating
a live cockroach.
We need to get that online.
Yes, we do. Yes, live, squirming. That was.
And it wasn't that bad, right? You'd do it again.
I would do it again. Yeah, it wasn't my favorite thing I've ever had. I actually told Mike I would do it for his show. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
We can make.
Why would you want to invite that on your show? I mean, you run a show with class.
We want to show weird people.
He's got this segment of weird Americans.
That's right. And it'll all be done in a language you don't understand.
Yeah, exactly. So they're making fun of me, but I don't really know.
He'll just smile and nod at you.
Why do I think they're all talking at me and laughing about me? But, yeah.
There's JV's internal monologue. They love me. They really love me. Here, I'll eat another one.
Yeah. So we will get the live cockroach picture on the website. But yeah, so Angelina, I'm all with you. Anytime.
Move over, Brad. Here comes Jamie.
That's right.
Okay, I've got one. I had one just as an aside. What? What do you want to say?
No, go ahead.
What about the what? So I had. I'm going to throw in two here. One of them is just a congratulations to Georgia for coming out of the dark. They have gotten rid of the textbook disclaimer stickers declaring that evolution is controversial scientific theory on all of their high school science textbooks. So
here for Georgia.
Here, Georgia.
Moving up.
The big one today, though, that I got from Wired News is an expose on fantasy love hotels in Japan. Let me tell you, the Japanese know how to do it right. Huh? Okay.
That's what I've heard.
So themed rooms. You go into these themed rooms, and you rent the themed rooms, just like Motel 6 will leave the light on for you, except for you walk into this one and it's decorated like Spider-Man's lair. So there's a great big kind of bed in the middle, and there are chains all over the ceiling, like trussed in there, so you can swing all over the room. Okay. Or how about one?
Get them sign a disclaimer before you go in, like any injuries, the hotel's not responsible.
And there's one that's decorated like a boiler room in the basement of an old building. Right. There's an old furnace.
Somebody's got a fantasy of that.
There's one that looks like Dr. Seuss.
Oh, baby, you haven't been producing enough for me. We know you can do better than that. Come over to Daddy.
Oh my God, there were so many of them. Oh, the alien invasion themed room. So you've got all these stories of people being abducted and what they do to you when you've been abducted on the spaceship. There is a love motel in Japan that caters to people who think they've been abducted and would like to recreate that.
I have an idea for the show. We're going to do a road trip to Japan to check out these rooms. Okay. I'm here to tell you.
I'd like to know their occupancy rates.
Yeah. Judging by the article, very high. They are quite. As a matter of fact, there was a section on it about the waiting rooms in these hotels because these new ones, the new one that this. Let me pimp the author.
Do they have
here.
any other rooms?
It's an
I can think of some rooms.
American photographer Misty Kiesler, Keasler, and she wrote the book Love Hotels. And she talks about this change in attitudes in Japanese sort of culture, because now they have waiting rooms. There used to be no waiting rooms. There'd be like a sign if there was a vacancy, you'd go straight in and you wouldn't want to be seen. But now there's like this waiting room where people have kind of flaunt their experience there. And
interesting.
Go Japan.
And there wasn't there stats that came out today of a guy that's been doing a study that found that 95% of Americans have marital sex.
Yeah, I think that was interesting because they said that it went back to, he studied the data back to pre-1940.
Exactly.
So we're not so chaste after all.
Yeah.
We just don't like to talk about it.
We just like to pretend we're, disintegrating.
That's right. I'm going to buy this book for everyone on
my mom's listening, so I'm not going to comment.
Okay.
By now, your mom's not listening.
Then by now, we're moving on.
I love you, Mom.
We're moving on.
No, I didn't sneak out of the house. No.
Oh, geez. She knows your secrets by now.
Oh, my God.
All right. Well, shall we move on to our guest or any more burning headlines? No, you need to talk about the one up there in Washington.
Oh, Snohomish.
Yes, that was a good one.
I feel this one is hard to laugh at, and yet at the same time so easy. Headline is Boy Hurt by Cannon Blast Feels Twice Wounded. This is from the Seattle PI, Snohomish High School. This poor guy, Brett Karch, he's a ROTC fellow, and he was part of the troop that stands behind the Snohomish High School cannon.
And there is a cannon there. I've been there. I mean, I know. Yeah.
You actually have some history there. Would you like to come clean?
Well, I mean, I lived in that area when I was a boy, and it's true. There's a cannon, and when you have football games, you shoot off the cannon, and it's a very big event. Snohomish is a nice area in the Washington area.
Well, so it turns out this whole cannon thing. Football game comes along, cannon goes off at the beginning of every game, and every time their team scores a touchdown. It's been going on for 30 years. Well, the old cannon
used to shoot midgets out of it, but they canceled that.
Yes, well, the old cannon actually was retired, and get this, students built the new cannon some 7 years ago or something in a metal shop class. Nothing ever goes well when students build a cannon.
When they build anything, probably.
Okay. So this guy, he was on ROTC, and he was the guy who launched. He was the trigger man, right? So he's the guy who pushed the button to launch the cannon at the beginning of the game. He lit the fuse, right? So there he is standing there. He lights the fuse. 3 seconds, 2, 1, cannon explodes.
Yeah,
right?
He probably packed it too tight or something.
Well, he blows his leg to bits. Okay?
Oh my God!
Yes, blows it to bits. They said that there was threat that he would have to have his leg amputated. He's going through a great degree of fear, and this is the small town. Let's rally the troops, get behind our injured youth.
Yeah.
Their response is to call him with death threats. Parents and students calling him with death threats, saying, "If this gets out, we're going to break your other leg." Because they don't want their tradition blown to pieces. They want to be able to fire their cannon, and they think if this guy yaps his mouth, they're going to. So it turns out.
And you found this where? The guy
on the Seattle PI, the Post Intelligence. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. Your cause is lost.
Yes.
And I'm sorry about your cannon, but
I think it's quite fascinating that this is the first time in 30 years, and probably how many times has that cannon been fired?
The cannon's cool,
I'm all about tradition.
Come on.
Maybe students shouldn't build the cannon, and maybe students shouldn't fire the cannon, and maybe that's kind of a recipe for disaster.
Maybe explosive expert.
Life just happens, and what we don't need are 50,000 regulations to make sure that nothing ever happens with the cannon again.
Knee-jerk reaction, America. That's what we're going to have.
That's the beautiful thing about this whole story is that the mother of this poor guy has never said anything about filing a suit. She just wants the community to rally about her son.
Yeah, good for her.
Yeah.
Marion Barry he'd be filing suit for everybody, saying it was everybody else's fault.
Suing everybody and their brother.
It doesn't matter that I was drunk and I put a bunch of beer cans in there.
Send Marion Barry to Snohomish and see what happens.
Run for mayor and see what happens.
Right. So that's all I got.
All righty.
All right. Let's bring in our guest.
We will.
Mr. Mike Mostafavi.
So there's been lots of talk in the news, obviously, with the conflict in the Middle East and Iran.
All right, what's going on? Hold on. Just get right to it. What's going on with this guy? He is crazy. This whole no Holocaust thing, the Jews didn't die.
Did you know that Duke Cunningham was there, too?
But see, he has your
David
attention.
Duke was there?
David Duke. Yeah, Duke. I'm wrong.
Who happens to be the expert on the Holocaust.
All a publicity stunt?
Exactly.
Well, he's denied the Holocaust for years, too.
It's like... It's like inviting, Marion Barry to a white supremacist rally and having him say that he's an expert. I mean, come on.
Why do you think that he's doing that?
I think he's doing it to get people riled up.
To pay attention to him. Because
pay attention. Number one. Number two, he really wants to show that he's against Israel, which majority of people, the nations in the Middle East are. Okay?
Right.
And then he wants to become a leader of Middle East, right? With the conflict with the United States, conflict with Israel, right? And the military buildup. If you look at Iran's military these days, they are buying a lot of defense systems from Russia, and they are doing a lot of stuff to secure the country. Okay, if there is not any conflict, how they want to basically convince the nation to go for all of these expenses? Go back to the United States. If there wasn't any September 11, right? How could you convince people that, we're going to go to Iraq, right? Because Iraq was involved in basically September 11, and because they are seeking nuclear weapon, and if they do, they're going to attack us. Okay,
Right.
So
Mushroom clouds.
exactly. So what he's doing, he's creating that conflict, right? Number one, to make himself popular, because he's standing right in front of Israel and the United States, and in addition to that, he is convincing the nation that they need military, they need all of this stuff, and in the future, if they want to go for a nuclear weapon, Iranians are going to agree with that, because they say that we are threatened by the United States.
So is it working? I mean, last time you were on, I remember we had sort of an awakening that most Iranian people don't hate us the way everybody wants us to think that we're hated and reviled.
It's Iranians, as I said last time, they love Americans, and they love their product. They love their culture, music, of course, and the government of Ahmadinejad is under a lot of pressure to basically pave the relationship right with the United States. Then they really want a new relationship with America. However, because the Ahmadinejad's government is actually, it's like George Bush government. I mean, they are really hardliners. They are into religion. They are taking advantage of the situation, and they are enjoying this conflict.
And they're doing what they want. They're doing what they want to do, despite what their people want them to do.
Exactly.
I mean, that George Bush is no different than he is.
In order to stay in power and
Right.
justify their programs and all those sorts of things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, when you hear that they're not talking about nuclear weapons at all. You never hear that from Iranian government.
That would.
Well,
Right.
nuclear power.
Yeah.
Nuclear power, right? They say that. But they are enjoying the rumors, right, around nuclear weapon that is basically, is brought up by Americans and Western, countries. They always deny that, but because of this animosity, right, a lot of people believe that Iran is after a nuclear weapon. And they don't mind, because if you are, and if you can prove that you can enrich uranium, right, if you can do all of these things, then that puts you in a better position for negotiation with the West. And that's what they are doing.
Exactly. Well,
So you
especially
don't. I mean, do you think that Iran is moving down the road of nuclear weapons, of weaponized uranium?
Eventually, yes. Eventually, I think all Middle Eastern countries are going to do that. And if you look at
gives them power when they come to the table.
Right, because you look at India, right? India has nuclear bomb, right?
And they won't sign the non-proliferation.
Right.
I can't say that word, but
right, they are not
Peripherally.
Non-proliferation.
Thank you.
Right, they are not signing that for that, but they are not considered a hostile country, right?
Right.
So it's a neighbor of Iran, right? They are giving a lot of actually advantages, right, to that country. There was actually a contract signed between the United States and India, right, to help them to build their nuclear, energy. And Iran is another country, right, next to Pakistan. Pakistan,
Right,
by
who
the
has
way,
them too.
has that. Right. And they are saying that, oh, wait a minute, why shouldn't we have that?
we're sandwiched between all these countries
Exactly.
that have it.
Right.
The United States said we were the axis of evil, and
Right.
essentially implied that if you're not with us, you're against us, and therefore we invade.
Well, I don't
'Cause
think
that's
we
what we did
implied
with
that.
Iraq.
I think that's exactly
that's what we
said.
said.
Okay,
If you're
all
not
right.
with us, you're against us.
So do we blame now, I mean, in some ways, for Iran to say, now, wait a second, we're getting surrounded by all these countries that have them. You're now throwing us into the mix as being evil, and all. No wonder they're now ready to fight for that.
All right, so what
that.
should we do?
Well, we need to go into diplomatic talks with them.
I agree with you.
Yeah, what do diplomatic talks
see,
look
I mean,
if you remember the committee that was investigating the Iraq's failure a few weeks ago,
Iraq study group?
Iraq study group, right? One of the recommendations was to negotiate, right, with Iran and Syria.
Engage your neighbors.
Engage, right?
Yeah.
And that was immediately rejected. right?
Exactly.
Why?
Because the egomaniac
Well,
won't do that.
Not only did we reject it, but now we decided we're going to build up our military even more.
Right,
And send
we're
more
gonna
people into
more
the
people
region.
over there, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm not a rocket scientist, but I'm thinking I don't know where.
That's
this,
like throwing gas on the
yeah,
fire.
Right,
exactly.
Not
so we
sand.
did this big. Hold on. So we did this big study group, and they said, "Here's what you ought to do." We have all these people all over the world saying, it's getting out of control. You might want to think about doing something different. And what do? Well, you guys are all wrong. Let's send more people there.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But-
George Bush, the military
But that's
strategist.
the whole point. I mean, we've been wrong. The people have been wrong from day one.
Yeah.
That's the point.
I mean, sometimes leadership is going against the grain, and I understand that. But there also is a point of being foolhardy and stubborn. We
Right.
seem to have reached that point a long time ago.
Yeah.
But see, at this point, Iran, Syria, and Jordan, they are really enjoying this anarchy in Iraq. They are, financially,
Well, they're taking advantage of it.
they are taking
right?
advantage of the situation. They
Well,
are
so Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia, exactly. And so what Iran is doing, because
And they're a
more
nuclear
than-
power too, right? Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia, because they don't want Iran
don't,
to have any
probably.
control in Iraq.
Why?
Because Iran is Shiite, right?
Okay.
And 65% of population in Iraq, they are Shiites as well.
Okay.
So if Iran, right, Iraq is overpowered by Iran, right? That's another threat
To Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia, right?
And in fact, right on the 7th of December, out on the AP wire is basically a report about how the Saudis are funding the Sunnis
Exactly.
in Iraq.
So are the
wow.
Saudis predominantly Sunnis then? I mean,
Sunnis.
because
Oh, yeah.
when we're
All of
talking
them.
about this, there's an ethnic, and I don't think we in America
we're
fully
in
understand.
we're in a
this.
proxy war between the
So-
Sunnis and the Shiites.
Okay, so let's make sure
between
we. So you've got.
Kurdish, Shiite, and Sunnis, right?
And the Kurdish are all kind of by
They
themselves,
just
and
want
that's
their land. and
Well,
live
Kurdish,
alone.
the funny thing is Kurdish are Sunnis as well, right? But they are not called Sunnis. They are called
How are they
Kurds.
because
different?
they are called Kurds
Why?
because religion doesn't have a priority, for them at this point. What
Okay.
they want is basically
more
the
about their
ethnic,
country.
exactly the ethnic, basically background that they have. They want an autonomy. Is that what they call it?
Autonomy.
Autonomy, right?
Yep, good.
They really want to become actually independent, right? Be separated, from the rest.
But
of
as a nation state, not as an ethnic.
exactly.
So you have the Shiites, who are being supported by Iran.
Yes.
The Sunnis who are being supported by Saudi
Saudi
Arabia.
Arabia, right,
Okay.
exactly.
And it was the minority Sunnis that were running under Saddam Hussein
Exactly.
for the country
Exactly,
itself,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
Exactly.
And now the control is in the hand of Shiites, because
They're the majority.
majority, and the government, the new government, majority
Shiite.
of them are Shiites, right?
Why don't we break up the country into three?
That is what we need to do.
Well,
I mean, is that
technically-
possible?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Because then the fight is going to be over resources, right?
Where's
Who
the
is-
oil
right,
sit?
where the oil,
That's
all of this
the
stuff,
issue.
right?
Where's the oil sit?
Yeah, well, Iran is going to have control in that area, no doubt, because they are helping, they are sending a lot of humanitarian helps, right? Every day, right? You see trucks actually going to Iraq. They are building relationship, right, with people. What they see from Iran is humanitarian, all of these mosques, all of these, things. What they see from us, Americans,
It's
right?
military.
The military, okay.
Right.
So they have close relationship with them, but Iran at this time is enjoying the situation. If it gets worse, then they don't like it, because then they won't have any control, right, in Iraq. So they are really playing the game. They want to make sure that the United States doesn't come out with victory, right?
Right.
From Iraq, and I think so far they've been successful.
So the instability is good for them
Well, of
in
course,
terms of maintaining
course.
power.
Yeah,
and
because
all
your
those things.
attention, right, goes to the area that has more crisis, right? Iraq has more crisis. Iran becomes secondary, right? So what they are doing, they do whatever they want using the situation in Iraq, and so I think that's something that we will see in the next 2 years. It's not going to change.
So your prediction for 2007 is just more instability?
Oh yes, it's going to be like that.
Unstable, but by 2010, Iran is poised as a major leader in the.
Of course.
What I think is also an interesting stat is NBC, this came out June 2005, reported that basically approximately 55% of the insurgents in Iraq were Saudi Arabian. So this whole idea, right, that it's
all about nationalists.
that it's Al Qaeda, is completely false. It's either Saudi Arabians coming in because they're so angry over what's happening and trying to help the Sunnis, or it is pretty much lower class Iraqis standing up and finally fighting back, because all of really the educated and wealthy Iraqis are long gone. I mean, they left that country right after this whole thing started. So what you have left is the folks that economically are suffering, and after you see so much death, who isn't going to start picking up the gun and join the forces? I mean, at least if that was happening in our country, we would all be doing that.
Well, nobody asked what happened to close to 500,000 military staff that Saddam Hussein had, right?
Exactly.
Before this war. What happened to them? Okay, they didn't die. Okay, what they did, they changed, right, from military to civilians, right?
They picked up arms and tore off their badges.
Exactly. So what they do, if you really look at these attacks, right, all of this insurgency that you see there are a lot of technical expertise there, right? That technical expertise is coming from, former military, people. So they are helping them, and because they see that there is no room for them in this new government. There is no way that...
The Sunnis.
Right.
Those 500,000 military people, were those predominantly Sunnis?
All of them.
Okay. Right. So you have an ethnic group that is really well armed.
Right.
Versus the other one.
Exactly.
And so Iran comes in and says, well, here, we're going to help out the other one.
Sure.
Kind of foster this.
The idea was to build Iraqis, right, military forces in Iraq so they could defend their own country.
Right.
Well, that is for sure is failing, because now you see that has been divided by ethnic, ideas as well. So Shiites are supporting Shias, right? Sunnis are supporting Sunnis. So military is divided. But even the one that they just put together.
I mean, can't they be getting tired of all this ethnic fighting back and forth? I mean, what happened to Rodney King? Can't we all just get along? I mean, why do you have to?
I think that's a false question for this kind of fight, though, isn't it?
Well, that's what I want to know.
I ask that too, but we've got
thousands and thousands of years of animosity.
I mean, this goes back to a religious issue. Is that correct?
Of course.
Right.
2,500, 3,000 years ago,
yes,
probably.
That's true. Right. So this is not. Well, I think what Saddam did, the only control that he had was keeping these people quiet, and
it was
had
a dictator,
good job.
Military control. I mean, if you said anything, you get killed. So
right, exactly.
I mean,
and he was supporting Sunnis because he was a Sunni.
So in some ways, it was a whole lot better off before we even went in, because at least there was balance with Iran.
Yes.
Well, and they had water and electricity, and
spotty, but
weren't waking up to.
But then again, people were getting chipper shredded, and I mean,
You talked about that coming from?
You talked about it last week, right?
2 weeks ago. But
chipper shredder business was taken off in the old days. I mean, it's better now. So,
I'm not really sure how many people got killed during Saddam Hussein's regime. I'm not really sure. We hear a lot of the stories. But do you think that is comparable with the number of whatever has happened in the last 2 years?
Right,
650,000. That was the. I'm not sure if Saddam Hussein really killed that many.
We've almost killed 1 million people there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we triggered it. Okay, it may be some insurgents that are doing it now, but we
Insurgents,
triggered the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is very complicated, because then one might argue that even if we've done that, at least you have put the terrorists and all those sorts of things. Everybody's focused on the Middle East, so that's where they're going, that's where they're hanging out.
At least that's what we think.
Well, that's what we'd hope. Well, and you'd say, well, how do we know that's happening? Because nothing's happened here. So you can't really prove a negative, but
Exactly.
nothing's happened here, so therefore we must be safer. Therefore, the strategy must be working. And I guess
but yeah, we're bankrupting ourselves at the same time.
Until something pops up.
Well, we are, certainly.
I mean,
more
that's-
insurgents in the UK, more insurgents in France, they start popping up around the globe.
It's just been
not in the
smaller,
Middle
and
East.
yes, just not the magnitude of
What's in it-
9/11, but the
fight exists outside the Middle
But
East.
what's an
for those.
insurgent? I mean, just a disgruntled person who wants to kill people. I mean, anybody could be an insurgent anywhere.
Well, as
anytime.
Ronald Reagan
Right now,
said,
I'm
one
feeling that
man's
way toward you.
insurgent is another man's
One man's
freedom fighter.
One man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist.
Terrorist or insurgent.
Yeah.
I don't remember what word, but yeah,
Don't-
I mean,
yeah.
you know.
The late.
go on, deal with it.
Actually, I'm very proud of you to quote the late great Ronald Reagan. That tells me a lot about
Are you
That,
impressed?
yeah, you could be a Ronald Reagan Republican. You know.
Oh, what a little
yeah.
love-in we've created. That's fantastic.
Actually, I did like Ronald Reagan when I
Yes,
was
me
younger.
too.
When you were younger and more foolish.
No, when you were more open-minded and passionate and
Before
weren't so
I understood
jaded.
the whole Iran-Contra situation.
Although we did miss a headline, and I want to go back to this.
What?
I did read in the newspaper this week, and I'm a little ashamed about this, but vegetarians have a higher IQ. And some study came out. This is people who have high IQs tend to.
Now, do you
eat
know?
less
And
meat.
I did hear just
Of course,
a
this
clip
was a
on
study
that.
that was done by a bunch of vegetarians.
But
Well,
was it, yeah, who,
PETA
I would say
sponsored
who
it.
made the study.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
the second thing too is what's their conclusion? That being a vegetarian makes you more.
It was the other way around,
or
that you were tended to be smarter,
or
so
if
that you
you
tended to be a
be a
vegetarian.
vegetarian.
Right. Yeah, because Lord knows just eating those vegetables wouldn't make anybody smarter.
Well, that's. I was going to say that's a really interesting stretch if they were going there with that.
Therefore, I'll never be a vegetarian.
Anybody want some bacon?
So
I want some
okay,
bacon
kind
right
of
now.
with Mike here. You know, there's an elephant in the room anywhere you are when we're talking about the Middle East conflict, and that is our continued support of Israel as a country. How much, I mean, you know,
Wow.
honestly on the table, is this hurting us as a country
Well, I think
from a Middle East perspective?
from Middle East, it's really hurting because there is, if you look at whatever is going on, right? The United States always, unconditionally, right, supports Israel, and looking at that fact from Middle East, from Middle Eastern countries, that definitely is going to,
Yeah, but come on. I mean, you can't be a Sunni or a Shiite and say, I'm going to start killing all my neighbors and stuff because Israel is somehow not being kind to the Palestinians. I mean,
Well, I don't think it's about that. I think it's about being a bully.
Sure. I mean, how many
in the
times?
Middle
How many
East.
times do you have these guys from Al Qaeda come on TV? You know, as long as America is, or the Palestinian brothers are being killed, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
you know,
that
we're
is-
going
that-
to.
that is a slogan.
And you know, it's one of those things of why don't you just focus on your own neighborhood and your own problems in your own country and fix those first and kind of go out from there.
No, I agree
so
with
it's
you, but-
easy to pick on the United States and Israel as the root of the problem, and until that's fixed, we're going to keep killing people and doing all this stuff. That's a horrible argument. I mean, it's like that means that you could justify anything, anytime.
No, that shows that we are not objective in solving problems.
So
We
it's
are-
true.
That is the only problem that I see. I mean, when you are biased, right, in your opinion, then you are not really looking at the situation, in an objective way. That's the only problem.
But
And
just
this is why we can't stay neutral like certain countries
course,
have done,
of
Well, but
because
we
we
have
are
this-
tied to Israel.
But it's the same. But it's a religious issue.
I know.
Just like
that's why I said it's the elephant in the room that
I mean,
nobody in the United States wants to talk
it's no
about.
different, right? I mean, I'm sorry, there were millions of Jews killed
I am
during
too.
the Holocaust,
Absolutely.
and we continue to support that, and we have a religious issue that supports Israel and Christianity and those sorts of things, and maybe we're not always objective because of that. And so,
Well, I just think that as Americans sitting over here in the world that we live in, being fed snippets of information that we're fed, we don't get the full story. That there's probably more to all of this, these
Absolutely.
1,000 years of animosity and issues that we can't even begin to wrap our hands around. So why do we think we're going to be the people that can come in there and help them solve all of these issues and do that in a matter of a couple of years? That is completely unrealistic.
Because God told us we should do that.
because I looked him in
I
the
mean,
eye.
are we any? I mean, yeah. I mean, because we're no better.
No, we're not.
We're no different.
We need a religious. We've said this before. We need a religious scholar to come on and help us
we
kind
do.
of lay out a lot of that stuff because it's all very tied together and it's all very complicated. I wish it were easy. Well, why don't we just all get along? It's too bad that those ethnic divisions then put us in a position of really disliking people to the point of where we want to kill them or wipe them out or move them out. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that has become a good excuse for Middle Eastern governments.
Right. And it's a good excuse for us to do the things that we do. And it becomes the crutch. And it's the same thing that we did with the Crusades and all those sorts of things. It's no different.
This probably could go on for 6 years.
Yeah.
Probably
but I'm
500
finished.
years, right?
As I look around the table, I see we're finished with our beers, and that usually means that we're tapped out.
We are.
Another very interesting conversation.
It was interesting.
Mike, you're really a fountain of information. It's always interesting to learn things. And
thank you. Yeah,
gosh.
Thanks for sitting
Gain
down
your
with us on the new
perspective.
show.
Absolutely.
And
I enjoyed talking to you.
Excellent.
And that show is, again, if people want to go to it, listen to it,
where
they can find
you?
it.
Which one?
The TV show.
Your show.
Your
TV
show.
Okay, so 9 p.m. on Saturdays, Channel 11 cable.
Okay, very good.
9 p.m.
And your
Pacific.
website, if I remember, it's iraniman.com.
Iraniman, right, .tv.
.tv, iraniman.tv.
Yeah.
And our website is beer30live.com, beer30live.com, and now it's coming together, right? The website's got a little shape to it.
It's getting there.
It's got a picture of beer, which is good.
Subscribe to our feeds,
Definitely
please.
subscribe to our feed and buy our stuff. Our T-shirts are starting to come in.
Rock.
I got my
Pete
T-shirt.
has one on today.
Beer 30
Looks
Live,
good.
smart people drink beer.
Yes, they do.
We got our first round, so subscribe to the show, buy our stuff. You can find links to all of us and all of our shows so far on the website. And
send us your comments.
Absolutely.
Please do.
Get a hold of us directly.
Let us know if there's a topic you want to have us discuss.
Yeah, because Lord knows, hitting about mid-January, we're out of ideas, so we could use all the help we could get.
When's the porn star coming?
Yeah, we're working on that.
I'm still focused on
you
that.
can find us at Pete, Mary, or Jamie at beer30live.com, or if you just want to write the show at beer30live.com, you'll find us. And next week, we've got a holiday show we're trying to put together.
Yes, we do.
We will be back here thanks to the Ram in Lake Oswego, Oregon. Thanks, everybody.
It's a nice place. Good view, good beer.
Yep.
Good
Great.
atmosphere.
Half-price appetizers. Can't beat it.
The folks here that help us out, too,
So nice.
really, really good people.
They're awesome.
And honestly, this is a shameless plug, but this is a great place.
It
Come
is.
hang out.
It's very Portland.
Yeah.
Very Portland. I'm going to go swimming right in that river right up there.
Yeah, you're going to glow
Go
for
for
a
it.
month.
We get the video on that.
Thanks, everybody, for joining in. Beer 30 Live.
We're out. Hey, Jamie, you can tell them I'll take another Bud Light, too.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Good Lord, I
someone
walked right
else,
into
please.
Coyote Ugly.
Someone else, please interview me. Someone with
Have
2
you-
beers.
Hey, I'm from the Midwest. You know how we drink in the Midwest?
me one, too.
You do a bottle of beer and four
I'm just going to make you share with Mary.
So, okay, in our new little plan, we start off and then we introduce guests and then we do headlines, right?
That's right.
Okay.
I feel like I just got scolded a little bit.
No, I didn't mean to make you feel that way. I was just.
Did you notice the finger wag?
I did. And then we're going to do this. And then we're going to do that.
Who do you think ran the playground? Oh, Mary's bringing over her Barbies.
Ew.
And you do this, and you do that.
Okay, I was a little in charge when I was young.
When you were in